Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for stopping by. After a very long time, we are back with another cosmology video. First, let me start off by saying that if you want me to do more cosmology type videos like this one, drop a like on the video and comment down below on what verse you would like to see. Personally, I would really like to talk about Toho, but I don't know the Toho verse and I don't have anybody who knows the Toho verse to tell me to give a scaling about it. So if you know somebody or and you want to tell me, DM me on Discord. Today we will be talking about the Great Witch at Magic Academy. This is a fantastic web novel series that is very underappreciated and very powerful. Another name for this series is called the 09th Garden Mythos. The reason why I wanted to talk about this cosmology is because, well, I have so many people that are always like, you always talk about the same characters and verses! Okay, fine. Alright, we're changing shit up. To start things off, I kind of want to talk about the terminology that is used within this video or within this series. There will be some words you do not know, and even after reading this series, I still do not know how to pronounce them. No, that's basically, I just can't pronounce them, so it's gonna be bad. By the way, my light novel is down in the description if you would like to read it. You totally should. Mana has been shown to be information particles, which can have its information changed to create certain phenomena and or concepts like magic itself. Magic is a literal concept created by the merging of information particles. Willpower is an all-encompassing force possessed by all living things, and with it, one can shape the fabric of reality to their heart's desire by manipulating mana. Additionally, the logic and reasoning of all magic is explained by willpower, so destroying willpower is essentially destroying the logic of magic itself. Spells are desires created by magicians to shape reality to their will. Spells are known to manifest inside magic circles and are dependent on the user's mana, acting as their fuel. Certain spells can vary depending on one's willpower and intelligence as well. Magic is created by one's willpower, and through their willpower, they can manipulate information particles to form magic circles that harness spells, which are known to embody the caster's desires. These magic circles can harness different spells depending on what they're trying to project into reality. Additionally, when a magician understands the concept that they're trying to manipulate as its fundamentals, their spell will be stronger as a result, which is why it's compared to science. You getting the Towaru vibes from this series? Yeah, I am. A nucleus is the core of one existence, holding their information, history, physiology, and bloodline. Without the nucleus, one cannot function and will cease to exist as a result, since it's the core of their being. Additionally, powerful magicians who understand their nucleus are able to manipulate their physiology and information to achieve different results. Simply put, if you don't understand what that means, think of it like Anos' sources in the series Demon King and Misfit Academy. Oh, and here are two other pictures describing what a nucleus is. I'm not going to read all of it, but you can just pause the screen and you can read it yourself. Catastrophe magic is the ultimate magic created by powerful magicians who master the arts of the arcane through hard work and training. It's known to transcend the boundaries of fate and causality, including the Elohim's authorities. This magic is powerful enough to completely ignore the concept of space-time, making distance and irrelevancy. Is the source of all mana, metaphysical substance that comes from the Sea of Silvahein, and is known to be the very concept of potential itself in abstract form. It harnesses the potential of the entire multiverse. It acts as an archetype of all things within the multiverse and is the perfect model for both mortals and gods. Aether by itself is unusable unless it's diluted into a weaker version of itself, which would be known as mana. Authorities are laws that govern over the world and are maintained by the Elohim. They're known to balance the world, as without the authority of fire, there could be no fire. Without ice, there would be no ice. Sound like a fucking idiot. The Elohim are known to maintain these laws, which are why they're so important. And if one were to die, then so would the law that they would maintain, eliminating it from the memories and experiences past and future. Illufray spirits are creatures that are born from the fears of the world, and they cannot truly die unless the fear they personify is removed by the atamon. Allufray spirits are creatures born from a collective idea and are known to keep certain aspects of the world functioning. Illufray and Allufray spirits serve a purpose similar to Elohim. The Illufray ensures that fears across the world are maintained for the survival of mortals, and for themselves, since they cannot live without fear that they embody, while Alufer exists to keep the collective idea true. Additionally, all spirits are known to reincarnate at the Atama if they were to die. Spheres are the entire universes in the Halvrendor that contains all the other realms, or many other realms. But since we did just start talking about the spheres, you know, actual spheres that are actually scaled pretty high, unlike DC, am I right? Oh man, this shit will never get old. A sphere known to lesser tongues as a world is in the truth of complete expression of a universe, a sovereign echo of the ordered universe after its fracturing. Fracture? That's so cool. It's like my series Fractures. Yeah. Seriously, you guys should go read that. It is not a simple orb of land and sky, but a living system of multiple realities, layered realms, and invisible reflections that are folded in and upon themselves. As a universe, it contains many things that make up the world, including Naimata, Atama, and other various realms from the equilibrium. Each sphere contains multiple timelines throughout the physical and spiritual world, and are known to contain various different realms separate from the physical and spiritual reality. Within a sphere, there are multiple timelines, threads of causality that twist and shimmer through the folds of time like serpents in mere glass. These continuums may run parallel, diverge, or fold in and upon themselves, often unseen by their own inhabitants. Some spheres are simple, holding one or two timelines. Others, especially of those divine interests, carry thousands of moments, and they're all breathing at once, simultaneously alive in both the Naimata and the Atama. It should be known that the spheres also contain a portion of the ultrinian to separate the Atama from the Naimata. Oh god. No matter what series I do, there will always be some weird names where I just cannot pronounce anything. Spoken in the first tongue as Naimata, this is the physical world, the one where most mortals perceive and dwell within. It is a realm, form, and function where all those things possesses weight, size, shape, anything. Every artifact, every body, every hill, blade, tool, mass, anything are bound to three spatial laws: length, width, and height. It is here where time is linear, and it's bound by senses, where the soul wears a cloak of skin. Beneath an Amata, or perhaps above it, exists the Atama, the spiritual world, also spoken in the first tongue. It is not visible to most, nor is it made of stone and flesh. Rather, it is the reflection of the reality's essence, the mirrored soul of the world. Every being and structure in Namata casts a shadow here, not of light, but of meaning. The Atama is a higher dimensional fold shaped by the fourth axis. Time is unbound, or where time is unbound, excuse me. Mortal kind tethered to a forward flow cannot walk freely here. To perceive the Atama, it is to awaken the mind beyond causality through ancient magic, dream walking, or the sacred arts of the spirits. The Atama doesn't contain one realm but three, each layered upon the next like veils drawn across the eye of creation. The Atama functions as a higher dimension, making three-dimensional beings from the Namata unable to perceive it or even move within its vicinity due to the functioning of the fourth dimensional space. The fourth dimensional space is perpendicular to all existing spatial directions, meaning that the mortal kind of the Namata are unable to see in that of the same way. They see length, width, and height, but through spirit magic one can perceive the fourth dimension with relative ease. Spirit magic is composed of spirit particles and information that existed solely in the Atama, and that's unbound by a third dimensional world. It's one of the reasons why spirits are invulnerable to the magic of the physical world, mainly due to the three-dimensional magic having no effect on them. While Merlin was traveling to Atama, she used the spell called Siloha, which allows one to move through temporal dimensions. Plural meaning the possibility of multiple temporal dimensions already existing. Again, these said dimensions are said to be higher dimensions. At the highest fold lies Elysium, a realm of pure idea where all thoughts and inventions, every whisper, dream, concept exists in eternal harmony. This is the home where Alufai spirits are born from the ideas of mortals and the collective unconscious. Here, the very air breathes knowledge. One may stumble upon the forgotten theorem walking like a man, or a melody sung by a river, among many other incomprehensible findings. Elysium is not heaven. It is an inspiration unbound, a dream before dreaming, a forge where the soul hammers meaning into myth. Beneath Elysium lies Penumbra, the twilight realm where fear is sovereign. Though it is too shaped to be collective unconscious, or to be a collective unconscious, but Penumbra is divided from a clarity of Elysium, steeped in the inherited shadows of mankind. The fear of fire, of falling, of being forgotten, these primal dreads manifest here as Illufray spirits of terror and instinct. The Illufray are not evil unless persuaded. They are custodians of caution, preserving fear so that mortals may survive their own ignorance. They are shepherds of shadow, born of flame and silence, and their rule is one of stillness and in awe. Though some magicians have learned to form contracts with them and use them for their own benefits. At the lowest fold, hidden even from the thought, there is oblivion. It is not a land of death, but of non-being, in which the being of dead Allufari and Ellufrai drift as broken echoes. All meaning dies there, all idea, principle, and purpose lost and dissolved into endless nothing. It is a realm so multifractured that it's theorized to follow no true state of being. Oblivion has no true existence and is said to devour all meaning of life. No soul ever leaves it, no sound is heard. The Klepoth, opposing spirits and silence, dwells in impossible geometry. They do not judge, they ensure that nothing ever escapes. Some mages are even known to ridicule oblivion, but the wise realize that the truth and fear often walk hand in hand, and no one who journeys towards oblivion ever returns from its deep pits. If one were to venture into this terrifying realm, they'd venture into the endless abyss, which is an endless chain of not things, ensuring that no one could get to the center where Klepoth remain. Damn, it sounds like the spheres are just baseline 6-dimensional. It's already the Dragon Ball! Oh man, that's great. But now let's move on to the prime spheres. Prime spheres serve as a foundation for all existence within its multiverse, acting as an infinite dimensional structure. In the grand structure of Halvrendor, not all spheres are equal. Among the countless worlds that exist across the cosmos, a few rare stand apart, known as the prime spheres. These are the core worlds at which the entire multiversal divisions emerge. A prime sphere acts as a central anchor point in a metaphysical lattice of reality. From its existence flows an endless branching of other spheres, lesser or derivative worlds that are conceptually, causally, or structurally connected to it. These oh my god. These connected worlds do not merely orbit the prime sphere, but are extensions of its core laws, themes, and metaphysical DNA. Each prime sphere gives rise to a multi-dimensional division, multiversal division, which is essentially a cluster of infinite spheres bound together through a shared origin, law, and conceptual lineage. The prime sphere functions as the foundation of the entire division, meaning that if a prime sphere is altered, all connected spheres are affected as well. If it is destroyed, the entire division may collapse or become unstable. If in power, the spheres under its influence may also evolve or shift to reflect that change. Because of this, prime spheres are considered keystones of the multiversal structure, realms that hold disproportionate power and significance in maintaining the order and continuity of their multiversal division. The supernals often pay close attention to the prime spheres as their influence spans beyond a single word. Conflicts, miracles, or events within a prime sphere may have ripple effects throughout countless other realities tied to its division. Some prime spheres are known by mythic names as Mount Olympus or Jianju Tree or Yggdrasil, and are settings for some of the most important events in cosmic history. Within prime spheres, laws are the most potent. Spiritual weight is heavier, and entities such as Klepoth, Elohim, and outsiders, or other gods, often focus on their efforts. But let's talk about what is inside the prime spheres. Every prime sphere, no matter how vast or humble, is tethered to the Hyperuranion, a realm above all realms, a divine domain from which Elohim issue forth the principles of reality. It is neither physical nor purely spiritual, but something altogether greater, existing outside the constraints of form, sequence, and the fourth dimension. If Atama is the mind's mirror, the Hyperuranion is the mind's origin. The realm is the prime emitter of law. It is here that the gods dwell, each one with an eternal flame that burns not for worship but for function. For the Elohim are not merely deities to be revered, they are the living pillars of existence. Each Elohim casts their law outward, not downward, like great suns flaring across the metaphysical skies of the multiversal division. Their decrees weave the architecture of of reality, anchoring the world so it does not collapse into chaos by spreading their laws across the entire multiverse. But the Hyperuranion is not invulnerable. Should an Elohim perish, the law they embody unravels. God, that was such a struggle to read. The result is not merely divine silence, but existential collapse. If the god of fire dies, flames no longer behave like flames. If the god of death falters, souls may linger, refusing to pass into the afterlife, poisoning the world with undeath. They regenerate over aeons, but the absence of the Elohim's fractures the sphere, birthing eras of instability, madness, and divine air. Such divine deaths are not common, but when they occur, they mark the end of ages and the rise of a myth. The Hyperuranion of Yggdrasil, Asgard, transcends and exists beyond the confines of the physical and spiritual worlds of Yggdrasil. It is by far the most important realm in Yggdrasil. The Mundus is a world that transcends Hyperuranion, and Yggdrasil, acting as a gateway to the other worlds. The ultrinian is not merely a realm, it is the ancient medium through which the architecture of the sphere is upheld, a limitless ocean of pure, unformed mana, older than the concept and deeper than identity. It surrounds and suffuses all existence, flowing not through space, but through conceptual hierarchies, dividing and connecting through three-dimensional functional layers of being, the Namada, Atama, and Hyperuranion. These words do not merely lie one atop another. They exist at entirely distinct metaphysical stratas, and only through the ultrinian can one traverse between them. To understand the ultrinian is to grasp the skeleton of one's sphere, for within its formless waters lies the conceptual axis, a grand metaphysical structure. This axis is not bound by the length of measure, it actually is a living fulcrum upon which all living spheres pivot, a six-dimensional bridge linking all worlds, realms, and concepts. To walk upon the conceptual axis is to step beyond direction, time, and matter. It is to become a whisper in the lungs of Elohim. It is an inaccessible realm that lacks weight, time, and gravity. The Elohim themselves traverse the ultrinium via this axis, for it is their birthright and dominion, allowing them to project law of the Hyperuranion across the myriad realities of the multiverse. When a god passes through the ultrinian, their law follows, rippling through worlds, altering the nature of existence beneath them, but not for mortals, or even lesser spirits. The ultrinium is death made infinite. Without a perfect metaphysical shell, any being that desires or dares to enter the ultrinium will have their body, soul, nucleus unwritten, dissolved into the raw sea of mana like ink scattered into a storm water. This destruction is not physical or even spiritual, but ontological, a total erasure across all timelines, dreams, and identities. Wandering the vast reaches of the sea are the hex beasts, the ancients, abstract entities made entirely of volatile mana, born from forgotten laws and unrealized potential. They are conceptual They are conceptual anomalies capable of traversing the axis freely, feeding on thought, language, and essence itself. In some spheres, the ultrinium is given form such as the Bifrost of Yggdrasil, which shines as a rainbow bridge, but in truth is a dimensional current of the axis that's made visible. Other civilizations know it from the sea without the floor, the arc of thought, or the unbound vein. The Bifrost is an ultrinium that encompasses Yggdrasil, as I've already stated before. It is a mass sea of mana that encompasses everything in Yggdrasil, treating them as atoms within a great ocean. In every prime sphere that exists within the vast cosmological structure of Halvrendor, there lies a central axis of power and information known as the I don't know where the fuck that came from. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I meant to say information known as Altraa. It is not a place in the traditional sense, but the core layered system of absolute control, resting on the metaphysical heart of the prime sphere and all other worlds that are connected. Everything, timeline, law, matter, and concept are bound to Altraa, making it the foundational system that upholds the structure and continuity of the entire multiversal division. The Altraa functions as both the reservoir and the command center, holding the total informational matrix of spheres. This includes every known and unknown law, every metaphysical pathway, and even the entire framework of the ultrinian, which coils and weaves through the sphere's deep metaphysical layers. From the Altraa, sorry, I keep saying Altraa because of Saber. Altraa, all reality within the sphere can be monitored, corrected, rewritten, or even unraveled. The Alvamon, also known as the governing order, exists at the center of the Altraa. They're the highest and most sovereign Elohims within the sphere. While the Elohim embody singular laws such as fire, gravity, gravity, death, and more. The Alvamon represents the total systemic. Oh, I'm reading off a script and I still have dyslexia. The systemet. Oh my god, I just did it again. The systemic authority over the sphere itself. The Alvamon is directly connected to the Altraa and acts as its sole guardian and the operator. Through the connection, the Alvamon is capable of manipulating the laws of reality at will, adjusting the metaphysical constraints of all the spheres connected to the prime sphere to preserve equilibrium, overriding and nullifying disruptions. It also includes invasive powers from foreign spheres of the rogue Elohim's writing and the deciding the fate of the script of the multiverse. The Alvamon are not omnipotent by any means, and in the most absolute sense, but within their prime sphere, they are effectively the final authority, capable of reprogramming the very fabric of the multiverse they do rule. Because the Altraa holds the entire sphere's informational foundation, its destruction is catastrophic. If the Altraa is annihilated or forcibly disconnected from the governing Elohim, the entire multiversal division collapses into non-existence, with all its laws, timelines, and spiritual layers. The Alvamon exists to prevent this outcome, maintaining vigilance, and more so to protect the Altraa. The Alvamon often enforces strict metaphysical boundaries, realms, and monitors the fluctuations in the Atama and the Nidmata, and may even lock down access to the Hyperuranion when threats arise. The three sisters of fate are the governing order of Yggdrasil. They write the entire fate, script, and narrative of the realm Yggdrasil. Now, I need to explain the importance of the prime spheres when talking about the cosmology of this verse. You know how like true magic is like very important to Nasu, and that's why it can be scaled quite high, or one of the reasons why it can be? Compare that to the prime spheres. The prime sphere of novels, the Great Witch of Magic Academy, and commonplace from ordinary to bastard villainous, well, Yggdrasil is the prime sphere of one multiversal division. Its roots connected to infinite worlds maintaining their existence. Spheres are supported by the roots of Yggdrasil, sustaining their lifespan. However, if these roots were to perish, then so would the rest of the world, and as a result, they would be unable to be stabilized. Yggdrasil is the largest sphere of Halvrendor, resembling that of a tree rather than that of a cosmic bubble. As the most important sphere in the multiverse, it is an infinite dimensional structure born to be the largest world throughout Halvrendor, comparing its size to the other worlds like comparing an anthill next to a mountain. This is the prime sphere of the novel. I was sent there into another world as one of the four great kings. I'm not gonna read everything like about this like word for word, because a lot of the stuff I do get to talk about in this series and this cosmology are taken from the data book, just literally reading it word for word and basically just like telling you what it is. So to keep things simple right here, I'm just gonna show a picture of the database of the prime sphere and all of the important information that does play into a huge role of the prime sphere that has to do with the cosmology of the Magic Great Witch Academy, or whatever the fuck it's called. But now we can move on to I hate this word so much. Halvrendor, the infinite soil of spheres. Beyond all known worlds, beyond the infinite dimensions of the prime spheres, a divine law of the Elohim there stretches an endless cosmic medium. Halvrendor. It is an ancient substrate upon all the spheres, prime spheres, and multiversal divisions that are set. Though often it's referred to as metaphorically it's often referred to as the soul of creation, the Halvrendor is not a true terrain. It is a formless, ever-shifting expanse, a cosmic sea of raw pre-structure shimmering like a nebula but deeper than stars. Every sphere, whether it's minor or prime, rests within Halvrendor like a seed embedded in unknowable ground. And as a seed draws life from the soil, so too do the spheres that derive a metaphysical structure, spatial anchoring, and conceptual context from Halvrendor itself. Halvrendor is infinite without any edges, unlike Dragon Ball. Yet paradoxically, it is not space. It is comprised of time, matter, or even concepts in a way that mortal minds may understand. Rather, it is a meta-dimensional field, like a medium of pure potentially that permits the existence of laws, realms, and timelines, and gods. It is not governed by anything, and thus it is immune to the constraints that bind reality within the spheres. The Silvahein, known as the Sea of Potential, forms its boundaries wrapping around the Halvrendor like a skin encasing a cosmic web. Halvrendor is not merely just a backdrop. It is a structural necessity. It allows spheres to exist in relation to one other to connect to or remain isolated to grow or collapse. In this way, it operates much like a framework of a living abstraction where metaphysical distance can be real and important as a physical separation. To travel through Halvrendor without the protection of the aether, it is at risk to falling into the formlessness where one may have been forgotten by reality itself, unmade, and rewritten as something less than a shadow. Spheres appear as bubbles within the great ocean as Halvrendor. Even though it contains infinite spheres, the Yggdrasil is still the most important sphere in Halvrendor, as it is the largest sphere. Comparing its size to other worlds is like comparing an anthill next to a mountain, and yet, despite its size, it would be nothing more than an atom within Halvrendor. Beneath Halvrendor, there pulses a vast psychic ocean, the same size as Halvrendor itself. It is known as the collective unconsciousness. It is not born of any one mind, but of all minds. At the core of Halvrendor, where the formless cosmic sea begins to spiral into order, there lies a vast dimensional chasm, which is known as the mandalia. It is neither a realm nor world, but a divine aperture, a gaping, stabilized vortex that pierces through Halvrendor and connects directly to the realm of Silvahein, a boundless sea of potential and source of all aether. Though it appears as a cosmic rift or void, the mandalia in truth is a cosmic fruition system, engineered by primordial design to draw in raw aether and Silvahein and transmute it into mana, the diluted, the usable essence that sustains all of life, which is magic, and the structure across the Halvrendor, which is the aether in its pure form, is too volatile. It's too rich and in potential to be contained by spheres. It would overwrite or unmake all things it touches. The mandalia tempers this power, transforming it into mana safe enough to flow into the Halvrendor, yet still potent enough to fuel existence. From the mandalia, the mana pulses outward like blood flow through unseen metaphysical arteries, disturbing magical potential across the sphere and every prime world and every realm nested that's within Halvrendor. Its continued operation is essential. Without the mandalia, mana would cease to flow, aether would remain unreachable, and the multiverse itself would begin to starve. Even the supernal, is that how do you pronounce that? Yeah, supernal. Even the supernal treat it with reverence, for it is not merely a power source, it is the gateway to Silvahein, and thus to the most fundamental force in existence. Some ancient myths say that the mandalia is not a mechanism but a wound, a deliberate tear carved by an ancient war of good versus evil. Others say it's alive, pulsating like a heart at the center of creation, dreaming all things into form as it breathes aether into being. Since we finally started talking about Silvahein, we can now move on to that with the Sea of Infinite Potential. Encircling the endless domain of Halvrendor like a sacred veil lies Silvahein, the primordial sea of potential. It is not a world nor a plane in the conventional sense, but is an unbound realm of living energy where the raw material of reality aether swirls in eternal, churning currents. It is from this realm that all magic, form, and concept first emerged into Halvrendor. Silvahein is the source of power, the womb of spells, and the matrix of miracles, yet it is also a place of unmaking where identity, thought, and matter dissolve into infinite possibilities. Silvahein does not abide by the physical law or dimensions similar to that of Halvrendor. However, its size is far larger than Halvrendor, and more so than we could ever hope to even think about. It is a realm of pure pre-structure, a sea not made of water, but a shimmering potentiality, ever shifting and ever birthing. Here, aether takes no fixed shape, but glows with the colors that do not exist, and hums with harmonics only the supernal can hear. Though it surrounds Halvrendor like an outer shell, Silvahein is not truly outside in spatial terms. Instead, it exists in a metaphysical perimeter surrounding all that can exist while simultaneously existing beneath all that it is. It is said that Silvahein is both the skin and the bones of creation, layered beneath all and beyond simultaneously. Only the most transcendent beings, those born of Silvahein itself, can survive its currents. Any form of entity that enters without absolute protection will be dismantled on a fundamental level, with their body, soul, and essence broken down to raw data and then absorbed into the sea. From Silvahein, aether flows into mandalia, where it is filtered and refined to the mana, diluted magical essences that sustain. I don't know where these burps are coming from, man. I could cut this out, but it's too funny to not keep out. Aether is an omnipresent substance of untapped potential and energy. It is the very building blocks of reality, existing within all things and defining existence as a whole. It is the fundamental substance that fuels and provides the basic framework of Halvrendor, acting as an archetype of all things within the multiverse. But now, let's go on to the Infinity Gate. Between the fathomless vast of Halvrendor and the unknowable churning of Silvahein, there lies a boundary both impossible and inevitable: the Infinite Gates, a realm of recursive, maddening passageways that span beyond all reason. The Infinite Gates are formless vast cosmic abysses outside of the world and time itself. They are not doors in a physical sense, nor portals in the magical sense. They are thresholds of reality, infinitely layered gateways that lead not from one place to another, but from one degree of existence to the next in an endless hierarchy that transcends the last. Each gate opens into a version of space more fractured than the previous, where reality is thinner, laws grow fainter, and thought begins to unravel. It is said that no traveler walks the same path through the infinite gate twice. The infinite gates overlap themselves endlessly, but not in a number, but in a state. As one ascends through the gates, their very ontology is broken apart. Every gate contains within the next an infinite recursion of thresholds within thresholds, nested deeper and deeper into unreality. They do not stand in a line, but in a paradoxical folding of transdimensionality, where each gate is behind and ahead of every other. Now, beyond the infinite gates, we have the ultimate void, the womb of the outer nothing. Beyond the final threshold of the infinite gate lies a place why is there even a place beyond this? Whatever. Okay. Anyways, this place that lies beyond the infinite gates, if it can be so called like anything, is a silent, vast, ancient, final, that even concepts of oblivion withers in its shadow. This is the ultimate void. A 0 point of that is all, and that all of it is not and never will be. It is an absolute negation of form, idea, law, and presence. It is not to destroy, it does not consume. It just simply is not. The ultimate void is a realm beyond existence and non-existence. The ultimate void is not darkness, for darkness is still something. It is not silence, for silence suggests that something was once heard. This realm is a blank parchment upon which existence dares not write. The unreality from which no return is possible because there is nothing left to return from. If such a word could apply in this eternally, utterly void, which are the outer gods, there are beings that do not belong to creation because they were never meant to be understood by it. They are not primordials, they are not supernals, they are not Elohims. They are anterior to all meaning, older than the hortus, and untouched by atamon. These are the beings that do not dream, do not speak, do not think in any sense that's comprehensible to that of Halvrendor. The outer gods are undimensional beings that make the very concepts of dimensions, logic, and reason meaningless, existing far beyond the world. Arudel is a transcendent realm where the supernals reside, those abstract absolute forces who act as the upper architecture of the hortus itself. It is not part of the Halvrendor, nor tethered to the Silvahein, nor seated upon any sphere. Rather, Arudel exists apart from all causality and all sequence, all law, everything. It is often referred to in forbidden texts as the white beyond, the zero firmament, or the crown of isolation. Within Arudel, there is no up or down, no time and space, only the pure expression of reality itself contemplating themselves. Where Silvahein is overflowing with potential, Arudel is perfect stillness, a crystallized state of metaphysical stasis, where the supernals are not bound by function, but it still exists as a function. Life, death, memory, will, unity, each natural force that governs over the hortus has its true origin and self-expression here in the form of supernal. Born from the will of the atamon, the supernals were not created, they were declared into being, forged by stabilizers in the grand architecture of the hortus. Not entities in the traditional sense, they are concepts given presence, forces given will, etc. They are what happens when the metaphysical foundation of existence chooses to wear a face, not to be understood but to be felt. The supernals are not descended not of time, space, or species, but from the atamon themselves. They are echoes, they are their extensions, their functions, their autonomy, everything. And where the realms of Halvrendor and Silvahein sees magicians, gods, and cosmic beings, they wage their wars and the supernals stand above it all, like colossal truths hung in the sky of meaning. The hortus, often referred to as the garden, is the totality of all existence, the supreme overarching reality that envelops all worlds, realms, laws, and concepts within its unfathomable design. It is not merely a cosmos or a creation, it is the architecture of reality itself, a boundless lattice that contains every realm, every sphere, every layer of metaphysics and dream. All that it is, all that it was, and all that it might ever be, from the lowest whisper of mana in Halvrendor to the highest silence in Arudel, exists within the hortus. This realm is often described as the primordial garden, not for its literal flora, but for the symbolic richness of its structure. Spheres as seeds, laws as roots, mana as branching stems, and supernals as blooming cycles of infinite variety. It is a self-containing yet expansive, forming an ever-growing network of realities, some linear, some recursive, others spiraling in directions unknown to lower minds. The atamon plane is a realm that exists beyond the hortus. Why, man? Why? There's just so many layers to this shit. It's just like, you would think for a power scaling series like this, bro, like this is designed for power scaling. I'm surprised it hasn't been talked about some more until now. That's right. The atamon plane is a realm that exists beyond the hortus. Outside the lattice of everything, it is unreachable point origin of the three-dimensional fundamental atamon, creation, destruction, and chaos, which act not within existence but upon it, shaping reality not as participants but as eternal axiom. While the hortus is a boundless garden of becoming, the atamon plane is being itself unchanging, uncorrupted, and infinite in stability. It does not move through time, for time has no meaning here. It does not expand, for it contains nothing that can be measured. It is pure metaphysical axis. No mortal, no Elohim, not even the supernals or of Arudel may tread here. The atamon plane is not defended as it is inaccessible by principle. It cannot be entered by travel or by force, only reflected upon through philosophy, magic, or madness. Oh, it also transcends the ultimate void and the supernals. Now we can get to the atamon. In the first tongue, atamon means primordial, referring not to gods or beings but to the foundational principles that make reality possible. The atamon are not conscious entities. They have no will, form, or identity unless required. They existed beyond time, space, and causality, acting as a metaphysical constants that define the boundaries of existence. Everything, matter, thought, magic, even divine, arises as partial expressions of these primordials. They do not govern reality, they constitute it. Within the atamon plane exist three ultimate forces: creation, destruction, and chaos. These are not opposites but absolute truths, immutable and beyond comprehension. Creation is the source of all possibility, precondition for existence itself. It does not design or intend, but continuously expresses everything that can and cannot be, making the impossible possible. Destruction, by contrast, is not the act of ending, but the total erasure of being. It is pure cessation, a force so complete that it nullifies the very memory of what it was. It does not hate or oppose, it simply is. Removing existence without trace, chaos is the final force. It is not disorder but paradox, pure formlessness. It precedes structure and renders all definitions meaningless, constantly rewriting reality with self-consuming contradictions. Chaos bursts monstrosities, fuels entropy, god damn, and embodies the idea that even truth can devour itself. I don't know where these are coming from, but they're funny. These three forces do not act within reality, they define its conditions, and without them, nothing could ever be. So that's a lot of shit I talked about, but let me make this real simple for you guys, and I'll make sure to like split this into like different time slots so you can go back if you're ever curious, because I will be talking about characters from this verse in the future. That's why I make these videos, so you know, send you guys back here. That's why I need a Toho guy, please. The sphere, 6D, possibly 7D. The conceptual axis, 6D, possibly 7D. The Hyperuranians, 8D. The ultrinians, 8D. The Altreas, 8D. The prime spheres, high hyperversal. The Halvrendor, outer versal. The infinite gates, they're infinitely layered upon infinite layered, so I guess you could say they're high outer. The Silvahein, high outer. The ultimate void, high outer. The Arudel, one layer into high outer. The hortus, 2 layers into high outer. The atamon plane, 3 layers into high outer. Unless I'm, you know, fucking something up, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's broken down into. This verse is obviously high outer versal for multiple reasons, with the spheres, the prime spheres, Altraa, Hyperuranians, the infinite gate, the representation of transfinite, dimensionality, transcendental stacks, the hierarchies, the infinite hierarchies, the entities that exist inside, outside space-time, the transcendence, the metaphysics of transcending the dualities of logic, mathematics, causality, narrative, laws, the descriptions like lawless realms and infinitude, trans-realities aligned with high 1A words. I think I made a very strong indication that this verse is high outer, and yeah, Grimhild, the main character, did in fact kill an outer god, so I mean, high outer. Anyways, I do like talking about this verse. I think it's severely underrated. With this video, I could probably talk more about these characters or some characters from the storyline, but I would like to do this with a lot more other series too. So again, I'm gonna harp on this, but if you or anybody knows a Toho guide that can actually give me a good Toho scaling that's not biased and that can actually show me facts, scans, everything I need, I will make that video for you. I will make it so I can start talking about Toho characters. I would love that. But for today, I do just want to give a huge shout out to House of Lead. This is that person's novel. I highly recommend you guys go read it, and hopefully I can do more cosmology videos in the future with your guys' help, of course. So until then, I hope you guys enjoy, like the video. A lot of work went into this, I mean editing wise. So yeah, peace.